But first-time founders, the problem is what I've seen, all right, through all their brains. So what they think is, all right, great, you know what, our MVP is ready, let's launch it and let's do some ads.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they don't see any return on investment. They go like, you know what, ads don't work.
Yeah.
Meta is shit for us, or TikTok is not good for us.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong way. Look, the problem is, it's not just about going immediately and spending on ads. If you had $1 million, okay, and you had a goal to really figure out who's your audience within a week, you have the money to just go and burn money. People think like, I have this great idea, I'm gonna launch it, I'm gonna become a millionaire. It doesn't work like that at all. It's a journey of testing.
Rony Hage, welcome to Below the Fold.
Ibrahim, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We go way back, right?
Yeah, way back.
It's always amazing.
Like 15 years?
What?
15 years?
15 years. 15 years?
No, I think more. Maybe 20 years. I would say 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
Probably between 15 and 20.
Maybe.
Let's just leave it at that. For the listeners and viewers who are listening or watching, me and Rony were friends in university. Mm-hmm. We used to bump into each other at parties, at outings. Had a good time.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. But now we're both working.
Mm-hmm.
And Rony is here specifically today to talk about how startups employ marketing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And there's one thing that you told me earlier that caught my attention was zero-based marketing, which I'm interested to hear about, and I think it does make kind of sense for startups who may not have
definitely.
massive budgets.
Of course.
But before we get into that, how about you give the listeners and viewers a bit of an intro about yourself, your background. What are you doing today?
Yeah, definitely. So today I'm the founder of a community called Founder Connects. It's basically a community that helps all founders in the UAE to come together to tackle challenges together. And at the same time, we do for them a lot of introductions to other founders. So hopefully we can spark some kind of collaboration between them. And previously I had a startup in the US. And I have another startup, which is a program for university students where we teach them basically how to launch their own tech startups within a month, basically. That's including an MVP, building an MVP. And luckily, because of AI today, we're able to do it in a month. Yeah. Previously, we weren't able to do this. But yeah, this is what I do. I was raised here in Dubai.
Okay.
And, my first startup gave me definitely a lot of experience, to understand how to handle the startup world. I've been in the startup world for a very long time now, maybe more than, I would say maybe 10 years, something like that.
Yeah. Lots
of
learnings over there.
Oh
right?
my God, yeah. It's like starting from the US. And plus the US is so quick and fast when it comes to the startup world 10 years ago.
Okay.
If I want to compare it to Dubai. And Dubai is, became quite mature right now when it comes to the tech, to the tech scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's currently, if I want to summarize it, I'm trying to, help and empower UAE founders to do better.
Right. And so you bring them together, they connect.
Yeah.
Founders find their co-founders.
Yeah,
right?
So basically the way it happens inside the community, as soon as you join the community, what happens is we basically match you with a group of 10 other founders, actually 9, you're the 10th.
Okay.
And you tend to meet once a month virtually for 90 minutes to just share your month's challenge. So some people might come in, they go like, all right, you know what, how do I tackle the SEO part? How do I tackle the marketing part? How do I tackle, finding a co-founder? Whatever challenge you're going through, imagine having 9 other founders that have, or went through the journey that you're currently going through. Yeah. And instantly giving you these recommendations or feedback. So imagine the time that you can save, all right, because you have 9 other brains giving you that kind of advice, and the costly mistakes that you can save. Right. Most first-time founders, they go through a lot of costly mistakes.
Are you one of these 10?
Usually I join. Yeah. No, I join. So we call them founder squads, and I don't moderate them. I have moderators.
Yeah.
But I love joining, their side, the founders' side.
Cool.
Because sometimes, even as serial entrepreneurs, you always have new things that you're facing too. It doesn't mean that, I've went through that journey, that's it, I know it all. So it's interesting knowing, other perspectives, new perspectives sometimes, so
Right.
you can tackle whatever you have to tackle.
So how do I join? Do I need to pay
So
a membership?
it's a subscription-based community, and
Nice.
you just, as soon as you join, you don't have to do anything. Directly, our head of community starts matching you with the correct group, because that group needs to be relevant for you.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, if you're pre-seed, you'll get matched with other pre-seed or a bit of seed founders,
Okay.
as long as they have good knowledge to share with you, and it's the same thing for you. Like, you have to share your knowledge with them too. And every single Monday in the morning, you get an email like, hey, we believe you're a good match with this founder. And these matchmaking Monday emails, we don't match you only with people that are part of the community. We match you with founders outside the community too. So we hope, and we do these stuff because we hope to kind of spark some kind of collaboration.
Right. So it's not necessarily people who have subscribed. These can be one-off founders, people who have gone through maybe the entire process, that have gained the knowledge, etc.
Yes.
So you might be pre-seed, for example,
Yeah.
and you may be sitting one day with someone who's Series B, maybe, for example, or Series
Not
A.
in most of the cases, because Series A people will probably sit with Series A people, all right? But pre-seed, they might be sitting with seed founders.
Yeah, so it's much more
because
impactful for them.
Because you need to make it relevant, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's more relevant.
It's more relevant for them. So yeah, we try to make it as relevant as possible, as long as you have, enough experience, because you can't just pay and access the community. You have to be qualified.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's one step that we have to do in order to maintain the quality of the people inside the community.
Makes sense.
So
and you mentioned that you also help these founders with marketing.
Yeah, so it's not we help them, all right, but because we had a lot of conversations between us, right? So we have many founder squads, 10 founders each, and basically I've seen so many conversations flowing.
Yeah.
And first time founders, what they don't understand is, like, look, don't get me wrong, it's not about just first time founders making mistakes, even serial entrepreneurs making mistakes. But obviously this, the second or the third time founder knows how to maybe reduce these mistakes and even manage these mistakes much better. So, but first time founders, the problem is what I've seen, all right, through all their brains. So what they think is, all right, great, you know what, our MVP is ready, let's launch it and let's do some ads.
Yeah.
And then what happens is they don't see any return on investment. They go like, you know what, ads don't work.
Yeah.
Meta is shit for us, or TikTok is not good for us.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong way. No, on the contrary, these platforms are actually good, all right, but you just, the strategy that you took was so wrong. So first of all, once I always call this phase burning money.
Yeah.
Because you're just trying to spend on ads without knowing who's your user or your profile. We call them ICP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which stands for?
So basically, it stands for, I forgot the exact terminologies. It's been 10 years I'm using it as ICP.
Yeah,
all right?
Fair enough. So ICP.
ICP, yeah. So basically, what happens is once you find your own ICP, this is where you understand, all right, so these are the people that are actually mostly interested in my product.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes one keyword can make it or break it for you. One keyword.
Wouldn't you know that before running ads though? Like
this is what I always tell people.
You think you know your audience, maybe you don't.
You think you know your audience. Everything is an assumption at this stage. In pre-seed, everything is an assumption.
Yeah.
Even your MVP, your whole MVP is an assumption.
Yeah.
Right? So once you understand who your audience, who are these 10 or 100 people that are willing to come and pay you?
Yeah.
That's what you need to figure out before you go out there and start spending on ads. Because this is when you know your audience, this is when you're going to start seeing some return on investment.
Right.
And that's what most first-time founders tend to blame these platforms because they're not doing any return on investment. But then you ask them, okay, who's your audience? We're still unsure. We have like one person that, buys, and that's how this person looks like, the avatar, all right, of that person. And then we have a whole different avatar of another type of audience that actually bought from us. Like, okay, but like, who are you targeting on Meta, TikTok, and Snap, and like, who are you targeting? Yeah, we're just being generic at this point.
Right.
Okay, so that's why you're not making a return at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's where comes in, this zero budgets, all right, advertisements.
Yeah. Let's talk about those zero-based tactics.
Yeah.
Okay. Which are important. Zero budget-based marketing tactics. And I'm sure there's more than one, right? There's so one of them is know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to know your audience.
You have to know your audience.
And obviously you'll need to run your product against a group of people, right? So that you know who's converting, who's really sticking.
Who's sticking
to your product. And that you should use that as a way to know your audience, not necessarily run ads, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting it right?
That's very true.
Would you say maybe also that some startups, they go and throw money on ads, but don't work perhaps on their website or on their app is not converting well enough? Is that an issue as well? Would working on a proper high conversion rate, highly converting website and app also a form of zero budget marketing?
Look, the problem is, it's not just about going immediately and spending on ads. If you had $1 million, okay, and you had a goal to really figure out who's your audience within a week, you have the money to just go and burn money, all right, in order to figure out your audience within a week. Because even these $0 budgets, it takes a bit of time. Okay, that's the disadvantage of that, all right, because they're not as scalable as spending on ads.
Of course, and startups obviously don't have $1 million.
And of course, startups, they don't have millions.
Yeah,
millions.
Especially pre-seed, like you said.
Exactly. Now you might see one or two, all right. These are, but they don't represent all the pre-seed startups.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, all right, let's go through that journey together. All right, you have a specific idea. The first thing that you do is you build your own landing page or your own MVP, correct? And a lot of people, which is a very good thing, by the way, building the landing page and trying to see if there's excitement or even potential just through a simple sign up process. Like, am I getting a wait list or not? Pre-orders, all right. So, but once you're building your landing page, there's obviously, the content of the landing page, the header and all these stuff. How can I know that this header is making sense? Because so far you're in the mindset of assumptions at this stage, right? So how can I know, is it making sense or not? So that's where I use, these, $0 budgets, all right, in order to try to optimize everything that I see on the landing page, including finding my avatar, who's my audience. Okay, so once I've optimized everything on the landing page and I've optimized the product as well, and I found my audience, this is where you're gonna start seeing a lot more better results, all right, when you start spending on ads.
Right. So how would you know then what is working? Well, you need, without at least driving some traffic.
You talk to them. You talk to your users.
Right.
You just speak with them.
But first you have to bring the users, right?
You have to bring them.
So how do you bring them?
Okay, so you want to get into the $0.
Yes, or maybe there's $1 to $2. I don't know.
All right.
You have to. Look, in my head, you need to at least spend a little bit of money in order to drive some traffic, unless you're referring to your friends and family and people that that you invite to visit your website.
No, this is the low hanging fruits, obviously. But sometimes, most of the time, it's not the right way to do it, because sometimes your family is not the audience, and then they start giving you feedback that might derail your thoughts Like, yeah, I don't like this, for instance. Yeah, but you're not the audience, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I prefer speaking with your assumed audience to
Okay.
start with. So therefore, you need to find your assumed audience. And there's plenty of ways to find them, whether it's in Facebook groups or, online
Reddit.
forums or WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
And there's a better way to find it, all right, is through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, I am targeting founders. It's so easy to find founders on LinkedIn through the filters,
Yeah.
right? So I just go in, filter who,
Slide into their DMs.
gets me. So this is one way,
Yeah.
all right? I slide into their DMs. So assuming I have a limitation of 100 DMs per week on LinkedIn, so I reach out to 100, 50 might answer. Out of these 50, 10 might jump on board, all right, in order to give my platform a try.
Yeah.
And 10 is already good enough as a start.
Yeah.
So imagine speaking with 10 people that matches your assumed target. Okay. So therefore having proper feedback. So they might tell you, yeah, but you know what? This is not what I'm looking for. Okay, great. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
And then that's where you start learning from them and you start optimizing. And by the way, when we launched the community, it was very different than what we've achieving now.
Yeah.
So basically, when we launched the community, I just wanted to keep it open for everyone because I kind of knew the drill. I knew the equation. I was like, okay, let me open it for everyone and then start analyzing who is it going to fit for?
Yeah.
Okay. And then analyzing it through these strategies, basically. So I started with this LinkedIn strategy. And you can automate all these stuff, by the way. There are tools out there. You don't have to do it manually.
Yeah.
Reaching.
You can do like an email marketing chain.
So that's the second thing.
Yeah.
All right. But you can actually send DMs, all right, through there's plenty of tools that you can use for automations. And the beautiful part is you can get even more personal with these people now with these automation tools. Like, all right, the first thing I want you to do is like a post on this person. And then this person realized, who's this person that actually liked my post? And then send the connection. And then once the connection is approved, you send a DM. So you kind of, these tools are becoming way better at getting much better results.
Yeah.
But again, it's not scalable. That's the problem. But right now, we're not thinking of scalability. Right now, we're thinking of, optimization and what is who's the best audience that will fit for my product in order to later on go ahead and start spending on ads so I can scale.
Okay.
So that's one way on LinkedIn. The other way, all right, is obviously cold email outreach. All right. Now, a lot of people, they say cold email is dead. Is not.
Yeah.
It's not at all. You just have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, it is scalable. Not as much as doing ads, but you can reach out to thousands of people per day.
Yeah, but
Okay.
what database are you targeting? Or do you
So
mean
that's
like
where you need-
Gmail or
Yeah. So it's not about Gmail or like every single person has their own email service provided that they're using. It's just you need to figure out how to get these emails from that specific assumed audience.
whether it's via like an exhibition or a convention maybe?
In any way.
or-
In any way.
Okay.
There's plenty of ways online.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways online that you can actually get, your database, whether through a sign-up form, whether through, look, startups tend to scrape a lot. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
All right. Startups tend to scrape a lot. And that's one way, to get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is where you go into the cold email outreach. Now, the thing is, if you scrape an audience that doesn't really care about your product, probably you're going to see them backfiring against you.
Mhm.
Okay, especially if you scrape that kind of audience. But if you're really relevant, you're going to see a lot of success out of that specific audience that you got their emails from. So that's where you try to be as relevant as possible throughout the process. That's when you see a lot of success. So first of all, is my audience as relevant as possible. The second stage, all right, is basically is the body of my email as well relevant.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they tend to use very generic, templates, which obviously stopped working.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they come back to you, yeah, but cold email outreach doesn't work. Yeah, obviously, like, what's your setup, right? So now with AI, you can personalize this outreach.
Yeah.
You can really personalize it. All right. You can personalize the body of the email. We deploy tools in order to scrape the website of this person first to understand what this person does and if it's relevant. If it's relevant, then we tell our AI, all right, generate a small introduction or a two-liner, all right, so we can include it in the email of the in the body of the email.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how we become a lot more personalized and relevant.
Yeah.
So once you were able to achieve this, and imagine you being able to do it on thousands of people per day, then you're going to see a lot of success out of that.
Maybe there's a perception out there that no one opens their emails, or no one opens an email from a person they don't know. Or I'm sure you also receive a lot of emails from companies.
It's part of the game.
Offers, etc.
True.
You don't open. But the reality is today that yes, there are a lot of emails that we don't open. But there are also a lot of ads that we don't click on.
Yeah.
And ads are still effective.
Yeah.
And actually, from what I know, from my personal experience, the click-through rate on emails is way higher than ads on websites, for example, banner ads.
Because it's more personal.
It's more personal, and when it's personal, it's even higher. Yes, and it's effective.
Yeah,
it's definitely effective. So even if 1% of the audience that has received your emails, only 1% opens the email, that's still way higher than a banner ad.
Yeah, could be. But look, the only problem is scalability. Like we cannot reach millions of people through email.
Yeah.
All right. But it's a great way to kick off things, to understand who's your target audience, to be able to optimize your landing page, to be able to figure out, what are the things that are working and what are the things that you assumed, all right, should work but are not. So without spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's why email marketing, if you know how to do it, is very, very efficient and effective.
Yeah.
And we've been finding a lot of success in my whole, years of being, part of startups. Yeah. Email was a major strategy that we had.
And it's not just one email sent, right?
It's a
chain.
Yeah. It's in terms of the thread of the email to one specific person.
Yeah, you send an email, one email, they don't respond, and then in a few days,
the second email, by the way,
second email you
so
send
we don't
something
just
else.
do a regular follow-up, all right? We tell that specific person, like, hey, you know what? I have that free thing for you, which I believe could be interesting for you. So why don't you check it out?
Yeah.
With a very small follow-up. But the main body of the email is about that freebie that we're trying to give out.
Yeah.
In order to start building trust. All right.
Do you really offer a freebie? Or?
Yes, we do. There's like we do a lot of strategies in terms of, all right, what are the things that we can actually give out for free?
Yeah.
All right. Because these are the things that we can use in order to start building trust.
Right.
All right. So we give out these freebies, all right, in these follow-up emails. And the first follow-up email has a specific, free thing that we're giving out. And the second follow-up email, we have another free thing that we're giving out.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a list of, investors.
Okay.
In my case, because it's all about the startup world.
Yeah.
It could be a PDF on growth hacking, for instance.
Yeah.
That you've sat a month and a half to really, build a proper strategy.
Yeah.
You just give it out for free.
Yeah.
Because you need to make sure whatever you're giving out for free actually has a lot of value.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you lose the trust that you're trying to build.
Yeah.
So yes, it works perfectly. It's amazing. Okay, and as long as you're doing it right, so the people that are actually there's plenty of things to take into consideration. Yes, there are the people that would say, you know, a cold email doesn't work. Let's divide this into two. There are the people that don't know how to use cold email outreach, and there are the people that cold email outreach does not fit for their audience. Okay, because it depends on your audience too. Like if you're trying to target, if you're a B2C company and you're trying to target, for instance, you know, someone, if your app is about note taking, that's going to be very difficult.
Why?
Like who's my audience? Who's going to come and take notes, right? And use my app.
Yeah.
Unlike if my audience is clearer, all right, like in terms of like, okay, my audience are founders. I know where to find these founders. My audience are gamers. I know where to find these gamers on Discord, for instance.
Yeah.
Musicians. I know where to go. But if your app is, you know, a note-taking app, where do you find this audience, right? So that's another thing. That's another thing that, all right, you know, you can't blame these people because, you know, it's very hard to find that specific audience. But that's where they can start testing out with buckets.
Right.
Okay. So they create 5 different buckets, very different types of audience, every single bucket. And then they test it out. Because in one of these buckets, you might know where to find this audience. So let's say, for example, as a note-taking app, let's say the first audience is CTO. The second audience is a sales executive, all right, in the media industry. And the third one is a lawyer, all right?
Yeah.
Very different types of audiences. So now if I want to target the bucket 1, which includes CTOs, at least I know where to find CTOs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you kind of segment it, and then once you segment it, this is where you know, have more clarity on where to find these types of audiences.
Okay, and which audience maybe is resonating more with
exactly,
your
and then
product.
you start, you know, implementing the same strategy that I'm sharing right now, whether it's LinkedIn or email, cold email outreach, and then you see which audience, all right, kind of clicked more with you.
Yeah, you know, when you said zero-based marketing, in my head I was thinking
just ads with $0 budgets.
No, I was thinking things like guerrilla marketing.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
another thing. But
like getting some attention from the press by doing something completely crazy.
That's another thing.
You know, like maybe jumping off a building,
but that's take time.
While you're carrying a banner, for example, you know, about your product or your brand. That will get people's attention. You might earn yourself some free media.
Yeah, but the thing is, look, right now my concern is not just to earn free media. Right now my concern as a pre-seed startup is to understand who's my audience. Okay, you earned that free media, and then what are you going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
It just probably adds some brand equity, but then it doesn't really help you in terms of, okay, how can I optimize? What should I optimize? But I think these, you know, these strategies that you're talking about are usually done after you understand who your audience is.
Yeah.
Because you know everything right now at this stage, and then you just want to, you know, increase your brand equity.
Yeah.
Then these strategies come into play.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of other growth hacking strategies, and
don't jump off the building.
Yeah, don't jump off the building
Just
at this stage. Even at later stages, don't do it. All right.
Never.
But you know, there's plenty of strategies, but the easiest way, because even these strategies that you're talking about, these guerrilla marketing or growth hacking strategies, most of the time they don't work.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we're trying to trigger that virality. We're triggering something, and most of the cases they don't work. And right now you don't have the luxury to just basically try something that might not work in 2-3 months down the line. And that's why a lot of pre-seed startup, they tend to lose a lot of time, and you don't have the luxury of time at pre-seed stage. You need to know what to do right now. Right now you need to achieve a single KPI, a single result.
Right.
So right now my result or my KPI is to understand who's my audience.
Usability.
Who's my audience? Who's going to stick? Who's going to pay me?
Yeah.
This is what I need to know right now, right? So these are the strategies. Later on, there's plenty of other strategies. Growth hacking, by the way, is a world by itself.
Yeah.
And I love it for one simple reason, is because you always tend to try to think outside the box. in order to try. So you have like 10 outside the box ideas, and there's no one way that works for all. It's one idea that might work for you.
Yeah.
These that person jumping off the
Off the building.
By the way, these were done professionally. Just so you don't do it.
Skydivers, yeah.
If another startup does exactly the same thing, it might not work.
It will not work, yeah.
But maybe it worked for these people because it was new. No one did it before. There's a lot of factors into it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean replicating what worked will work for you too.
Yeah.
So that's why you come up with like 10 different creative strategies, outside the box ideas. All right, let's try the first 3 now. They don't work. All right, great. Let's try the next 3. But now you're at a stage where you have the luxury of, I wouldn't say a lot of time, but at least, you have revenue coming in, things are running. Now you just need to figure out, what would take me from the second place to 10 really quick.
Would now be then a good time to start introducing ads?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another good time to start introducing ads.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, whenever you start with ads, start really small, all right? Because even if you start with ads, you're always going to have the assumptions. And when it comes to ads, it's no longer the assumption of your audience. Now it's the assumptions of your creatives.
Yeah.
Right? Are my creatives doing well? Are they going to perform? I think they're going to perform, So start really.
You just tapped into a whole new world.
Right? Yeah. I don't think we have the time to dig into
talk
this.
about creative. Yeah.
But yeah, man, creatives is a totally different thing, totally different strategy. But start small. Have a couple of creatives, on the table so you can test which one will work out. And you're always going to have so many new creatives coming in because testing is so important. And startup is all about testing.
Yeah.
People think like, I have this great idea. I'm going to launch it. I'm going to become a millionaire. It doesn't work like that at all.
You're gonna test and fail.
It's going to be a lot
of times.
It's a journey of testing.
Yeah.
It's a journey of testing. And the people that actually succeed are the people that, know how to test really well. They know what to do. And when it comes to, what do I do with these results? That came out of these tests.
Yeah. That know how to analyze and make use.
And make use of it and all these stuff. So yeah, it's not an easy thing, man. First time founders, it's a very hard journey. Very rewarding though. Once it cracks with you.
Yeah.
It's not a journey for everyone. Okay, a lot of people, they tend to give up way earlier than they should. But I understand them because it's just simply it's not for everyone. It's as simple as that.
Good stuff, Rony. How about we wrap up with where can people find you?
Yeah, so obviously on LinkedIn, Rony Hage, and our community. I'm very, very active. It's not like I'm only founding this community and I'm trying to work on strategies behind the curtains. No, I'm very active with our community members.
Yeah.
So it's Founder Connects.
Yeah.
The S is on Connect.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they make the mistake of calling it Founders Connect.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I just couldn't find the URL back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's founderconnects.com. And definitely, being part of the community, it's all about moving your needle at the end of the day. No one, don't get into, places that guarantees success.
Yeah.
No one will be able to do this. I've seen a lot of these accelerators, by the way, especially these virtual ones.
Yeah.
I fell a long time ago. For one of these virtual accelerators.
Yeah.
It was a very big one, by the way, in the US. It was like when they fell, it made news.
Yeah.
All right. So don't get into accelerators, communities, whatever you want to call them. All right, that guarantees success.
Yeah.
We just try to move the needle for you. Cool. That's it.
Good stuff. Thanks so much. Thank you, Rony.
And thanks for having me. Yeah, I know it was great connecting with you after decades.
Yeah, exactly.
Decades, huh?
15 years.
Yeah, man, that's great to see you.
Great to see you too.